Hi everyone, I'm Alli and welcome to my channel. Today we are doing some thrift flips and I'm really excited to turn some really inexpensive thrifted items into high-end, gorgeous looking home decor. And thrift flips fit in so well today with the brand I'm partnering up with, which is Ana Luisa. Now I'll have more on Ana Luisa in a second. I do want to hop into this first DIY. I picked up this candle plate. It was only $1 originally. It was a Dollar General candle plate, but I just thought it was stunning. I loved the texture on it, and I knew that I could do something a little bit different with this DIY than just transforming this plate. So let me show you. Instead of using the candle plate itself, because it has such a wonderful texture, I thought I would make a great impression in clay. So I'm using some polymer clay that is in white. I just prefer polymer clay over other types of clay, and I'm just rolling it out into a really thin sheet that is going to be big enough for this Trinket dish. And I used 1 pack of the clay to do this. I needed to make a bit of a smaller circle, so I'm just using this roll of painter's tape to cut out a circle. You could use anything with a round shape, and I used an X-Acto knife to help me get a nice clean cut. Once I removed the tape, I did have to use my fingers just a little bit to smooth the edges, but I'm not worried too much because we will be sanding in the end. Then I took that circle and I set it on the bottom of this plate because that is where the embossed texture was, and really pressed it into the bottom of the plate. And this is such a great DIY because even if you don't have this exact plate, you can always find cool crystal textured type plates and glassware at the thrift store that you can get for a couple cents and do this exact same thing. Next, I wanted to create a little bit of a base for this, so I'm using these 2 little wood pieces. I got them at Joann's and I pressed it into the bottom of the clay and then removed it. I actually got this idea from a soap dispenser that I own. I thought this would make a kind of a cute set with the Trinket dish alongside it. Since I had some excess clay left over from the 1 pack that I used, I rolled it into a ball, and then I have these round circles. These ones are actually from Walmart. You get 6 of them, and they're just very thin round wood, and I pressed that into the round piece of clay that I created. And I also pressed that little piece of clay onto the side of the plate here to also give it a little bit of the embossing to create a cohesive set. Finally, I placed the candle plate and clay on a baking sheet. You can bake it just like this, and the small little round piece, and I baked it per my clay's instructions. While that clay is baking and cooling, I want to tell you the pieces that Ana Luisa has sent me. Ana Luisa is a luxury jewelry brand that doesn't come with a high-end cost, and they are great to partner up with this thrift flip because they are a sustainable and carbon neutral brand. And if you might know that thrift flipping your home decor is one of the most sustainable ways to DIY. I do want to talk about what I was sent, the different jewelry pieces. The first one that I got is this Rebecca necklace, and I just loved it. I've been looking for a simple pendant style necklace, and I love the beautiful detail and the chain, and I also love that it had a moonstone, and I am a June baby, which means that moonstone is one of my birthstones, so I knew that this necklace was just perfect for me. I also picked out 2 pairs of earrings, and I love them just as much. I have the 1 pair on right now. They are the Sia Pearl safety pin earrings. I just love the uniqueness of them. I love that they have pearls in them, which again, June birthstone, I know, maybe a little bit of a theme. And the other piece that I picked out are the Toda hoop earrings. I just love earrings. They're my favorite type of jewelry, and I know that this pair is going to become a staple in my wardrobe because I always am looking for beautiful, simple, dainty, but statement piece type earrings. And on top of all of this, they are right now having their summer sale where you can get 20% off all of their jewelry on their website, and their pieces start at $39. Okay, back to the DIY. I wanted to turn this little round wood piece here into a earring holder, earring organizer. So I used my drill and a thin drill bit to drill 4 sets of 2 holes to hold 4 pairs of earrings. And then I'm going in with my favorite early American wood stain by Minwax. I just love the color that this has. And I stained both that little round wood piece for the bottom of the Trinket dish and the earring holder, and I let those dry completely. Next, you're going to want to use some fine grit sandpaper to clean up the edges on the clay bowl and get them nice and smooth and rounded, and be very, very gentle when doing so to prevent the clay from breaking. And here's what it looks like. I just love that texture that plate gave it. Then you can use any type of glue. I'm using hot glue because it's convenient, and I glued that little wood piece onto the base. And then I also used a little hot glue to glue in that little circle earring holder. And to really finish this off and make it look high-end, I'm using some of Sculpey's polymer clay clear gloss, which I'm pretty sure is just a glossy water-based polyurethane, so you could definitely use that and save a little bit of money. They sell that at the craft store in the paint section as well. And I put on a really, really thick coat and used a regular paintbrush to just spread it all over the clay and the wood pieces of these projects to give it a nice ceramic and finished look. I am so happy with how these DIYs turned out, and even happier that I have a gorgeous place to display these beautiful Ana Luisa jewelry pieces. The next pieces that I'm thrift flipping are these two wooden boxes. Now, I will say for thrifting, these were a bit expensive. The small one was $2.99 and the larger one was $4.99, which I think is a little bit crazy for the thrift store, because I'm pretty sure you could go to Michael's, find these exact same boxes, and get them for the exact same price with a coupon. But nonetheless, I wanted to transform them and make them look so much fancier than a cheap, unfinished wood box. So let me show you this transformation. For the first step, I'm using some of this DuraClear matte varnish, and this is really just to bring out the natural wood grain and wood tones of these boxes. I did not want to stain them a different color. I just really wanted to enhance them slightly. So I used a regular old paintbrush to paint this on in a nice, thin, even coat. I only did one coat for this project, but you could do multiple coats, and it looks a lot darker here, but as you're putting on that varnish, you can really start to see that wood grain and those beautiful rich wood tone colors start to shine through. And what I love about this is, while it's a little bit darker now, as this dries, it will start to lighten up a bit, but it won't go back to looking like that original unfinished wood like you see right here. So I just completed painting both of the boxes with this clear matte varnish like so, and I was so excited to see this top lid right here. This one looked so gorgeous after I put the varnish on, because that wood grain is just spectacular. After letting all that varnish dry for several hours, I'm then using this little piece of leather from the jewelry section at the craft store, and I'm cutting it down into 2 strips. For this larger box, you're of course going to want to use a little bit of a longer strip, and this is going to create a little handle on the front of the box, and I'm using some Gorilla brand hot glue to adhere this to the box so you can get that extra strong hold. I repeated that step using a little bit of a smaller strip on the smaller box. Next, I'm going to be using 4 brass upholstery nails. You can get these at the hardware store. You could also get them at the craft store. And I used my pliers to protect my fingers and my rubber mallet to hammer these brass nails into the box on the sides of the leather strip. This really just brings in a little bit of a fancy element. It is optional, but I love how this makes this piece look incredibly high-end. And I just absolutely love how these turned out. The little bit of enhancement of the wood grain with the leather and the brass nails just really brings this piece together. If you've made it to this point, I would just so love if you'd give this video a like. That helps YouTube know that you are enjoying it, and it really does help my channel grow and help more people find my videos. Next up is this picture frame, and while the color is a little bit questionable, I love that braided woven look that the frame had, and I knew I could do a few simple little steps to completely transform this piece. The first thing I want to do with this frame is give it a coat of satin black spray paint. And I used spray paint for this because this frame has that weaving texture, so I was afraid that if I used acrylic paint, it wouldn't lay as flat on the surface, and I really don't want to lose that texture. Now, after 2 coats of that spray paint had dried, I really wasn't satisfied with the look of it. It almost turned out looking a lot more glossy than a satin finish, so I decided to go over it with a matte clear enamel. This was just to matte down the shininess. Of course, if you like it a little bit glossier, you can keep it that way, or you can use a matte black spray paint. So brass accents are the theme of this video, I think, and I got these little brass corners. I think they're for scrapbooking or something, like for the corners of books, off of Amazon. I'll be sure to link them in the description box. And since they go on books, they had these little flaps on the back that I just needed to kind of straighten out a bit so that they would fit on the corners of this picture frame. Once I had all 4 of these little corner pieces straightened out, I used some hot glue to adhere these to all 4 of the corners of the frame. And this was such a simple and affordable project. I'm gonna have brass corners for the rest of my life, and I love the finished result. On my channel for a while, then you know I love doing DIYs with vases. So this 4th DIY is no different. I am going to be taking this little red vase and giving it a little bit of a facelift. I'm not using baking soda paint though, so I just want to say that. So here we go to the 4th thrift flip. On to the next brass themed thrift flip. I'm going to be turning this little vase into a really cute looking brass vessel. And the first thing I did was give this vase a really good coat of gold spray paint. I actually think I did 2 coats for a full coverage. I let that spray paint dry overnight, and then using a chip brush, I just got this right from Dollar Tree, and some matte black acrylic paint, I began roughly brushing it onto the surface of the vase. And as I was working, I kind of did this a little bit in patches, and then I went in with a paper towel to kind of dab and rub away some of the excess paint, and I just kept repeating that over and over again, letting the paint dry a little bit, rubbing it off a little bit. And I actually got this DIY idea from my friend Eunice over at Eunice at Home. She did this for her bedroom makeover, which turned out absolutely stunning, and I'll be sure to link that in the description box. As a little bit of a finishing touch, because I didn't like how rough the paint looked, I just gave this vessel a little bit of a light dusting of that gold spray paint to finish it off. And don't forget to head to the description box and check out the link for Ana Luisa. Go over, look at their gorgeous jewelry. Trust me, you will fall in love with it. I wanted probably every single piece that I saw on their website. You can get 20% off for their summer sale, and again, all of their pieces start at $39. And that's everything I have for you in this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!